Hello, people. So I want to introduce the people we have here today. We have Francis Ame. Francis Ame is like my board of director, one and only. And we have Charles. I know you all have heard Charles' story. This is Charles. We have him on the phone because for some reason his internet is not the best. Come on, come. Oh, this my camera is following the phone. So for some reason his internet is not the best. And sorry, forgive me, my camera is okay, good. So so we have Charles on the phone, we have Francis here, and we just wanted a round table conversation, kind of closing the loop, kind of having a community around um, the stories that Charles have shared about his own experience coming out of the seminary. And also, this is a time for us to see if anybody from the comments, if people have questions for him. Francis will take care of all of that. So I'm just introducing what we have today. And after that, I will just be one of your guests. Francis is our host for tonight. So um, I hand it over to you, Francis. Take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Fortune, for that. Please, you guys should not mind Fortune. He whines a lot. I told him that if I've asked him before if there's a paid role for so I've asked him before if there's a paid role for whining where he benefits from so that he can introduce me, but he has refused. And that is not the essence of brotherhood, right? He whines a lot. I'm not his board of director. I'm only a colleague and a friend. And thank you all for taking our time to join us on this session. It's always nice to be in this space to chat with you guys, to hear you guys and gist, to see your comments, to read your bass boosts. It's always very nice. And thank you so much, Charles, for also sharing your story.
Francis, we are losing you. Okay. You're joining. Okay, I'm going to drop
Sorry,
this one.
sorry, I got kicked out. And thank you so much, Charles. I'll just pick up from where I stopped. Thank you so much, Charles, for sharing your story. Trust me, guys, all those of you who are online, who are live with us, trust me, it's not easy to share your story. Sometimes, before you come live to share some of these stories, you go through a lot of trauma, psychological trauma, mental trauma. You go through all those things, and yeah, and a very happy new month to you all. Yeah, it's a new month, a new day, and a new month. So it's very difficult. It's traumatizing putting yourself together and facing the crowd to share your story. And I will use myself as an example. When Fortunatus approached me that he wanted me to share my story, I was like, do I want to do this or I should just decline? Funny enough, I had to ask a couple of friends, and I was like, someone is inviting me to come and share some stories or show some experiences. Do you guys think I should do this? And they were like, okay, if you feel whatever you are going to share will motivate or make someone learn something new, then you should go and do it. But if you don't feel like it, ignore it. It was that day that I decided that I would go live. All the while I was still contemplating, but I decided, and after sharing that story, I felt like a burden was lifted. Yes, I had no grudge against the seminary. I had no issue against my formators. I had no issue against my formation. Like I said and mentioned clearly, the seminary shaped who I am. It made me understood myself. It made me discover myself, right? And that was one of the best decisions I've made so far, going through that process. So just to let you know that it's not easy, and when you see people come to share their story, it's not because they need pity. Nobody needs your pity, right? They're only being vulnerable because, like I always say, it's okay to be vulnerable because in your vulnerability, you get strength. So over to you, Charles. I'll just make it straightforward. So how do you feel having shared your story? Do you feel light?
Um, okay. At first, it was
So do
a
you
lie.
feel light?
I think,
Is responding.
Hello?
can you,
Hello, Charles.
can you hear me? Yeah, I hear you. I can hear you. Should I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, first, it wasn't all rosy anyway. But the very first day of putting up that letter on the Facebook, the after the interview, a few days after the interview, I wasn't really myself. It was an emotional torture for me. So yes,
Sorry,
it
my
was.
network today is a bit bad.
All right, Charles, go ahead. Francis, can you
Go
hear
ahead,
him?
Charles.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's breaking. I can't.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't easy. Yes, after the whole sharing the experience, it wasn't easy for me because it was like a moment of recollection, a moment of bringing up the whole thing up again. Things I thought I have left behind. Some of them came up again, and I had to go again and again to survive. Now, I don't actually know the state at which I am surviving or I am. I don't know how to specify it. But the thing is that within me, down inside of me, there is this joy that okay, my spirit is beginning to unfold because I can say that I have dreamt of that moment, dreamt of, have thought of it, I prayed for it that when will it be, which day will it be that I can sit down with someone, tell my story, talk about how I feel, the things I've been through, and what I am in. So for me, it's a beautiful thing. Though emotionally, it wasn't easy, but a greater part of me felt satisfied and fulfilled that something like that happened.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Charles. I hear you say that a greater part of you feel satisfied having shared your story, which means you feel light, you feel better. Yes, it was, like you said, emotional. It was you had to do with deal with a whole lot of emotions while planning or preparing to share your stories, which I totally understand. We all here we do understand that because we've gone through that phase. We went through that and we passed through that. We felt that as well. Why we shared our stories. And I will be looking at the comments. And if you have any questions you would want me to ask Charles, please feel free and drop them in the chat box, and I will pick it up from there. Please, and we are looking forward to your questions for Charles. So Charles, my next question is having shared your stories, and when you reflect back to your seminary days or to your formation days, what do you think would have been done well, and what do you think the seminary system would have improved on? I was saying that what do you
Sorry, I
think
didn't
would
get.
have hold on. So I was saying that what do you think would have been done well, and what do you think the seminary system would have improved on, or the formation system would have improved on. So having shared your story and now reflecting back to your formation days, what do you think would have gone well or would have been done well, either from your end or from the formators, and what do you think the seminary or the formation system and would have improved on it?
Mm, can you hear me?
Do I need to take that question?
No, he
Do I
heard you.
need
He
to
heard
take
you.
the question?
He heard you. He heard you. Go
Okay,
ahead,
great.
Charles.
Okay. I think um, my own side, I don't think there's anything that I would have done better than I because I gave my all. I didn't this for repetition. I did all I was asked to do, and I did all that I thought was good. So I don't think there is any other better way I should have done anything that I didn't do. Then on the side of the formation of formators, I think what is happening in our formation houses is these people are just breathing what I would call something like a time bomb that will definitely explode one day. You go to the seminaries, you see people pretenders, like breed of pretenders. Because for me, as I said earlier, that place is so mechanical that okay, this
Charles, we're losing you. Can you say that again?
So I heard that place is so mechanical. That was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, same here. He's still on the call, but I can't hear him.
I guess his network. Even I too, I can't hear him.
Okay, let me end the call and call back.
Okay, so why they are calling him back? Please, if you have any questions for him or if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat box, and we'll be more than glad to attend to them. So today there's no particular topic for today. It's just following up on Charles's story. So he had already shared the story, and Fortunato's already posted it on his Facebook page. So we are following up to know how Charles feels after sharing his stories, and then some other questions we might have for him. So this is like the rounding up session of Charles's experience. Emelda, I don't know
Charles,
if I answered your question.
Charles is back.
Okay, so Charles, please go ahead.
yeah, I'm here. Okay, as I said earlier, I think the place formation houses are some sort of mechanical that they do not give room.
Charles, go ahead.
I think we've lost him again.
Yeah, this is direct call. Oh.
Okay, so let me I will make a quick clarification for those of you that may not understand some of these theological or formation jargons they are using. So when someone says a system is mechanical, meaning they expect you to act or to operate like a robot. So there's the mechanical and the organic. So it is expected that you act organically, you live your life the way you know how to live your life, but in accordance to the right dictates, right? For instance, in the seminar, you don't have to pretend to please the formators. You need to live your life the way you've always lived your life, but ensure that you are doing the right thing at the right time, not doing the right thing at the wrong time, right? But in a mechanical system, you just like put a show. Maybe you are not happy, you have to pretend that you are happy when you are not happy, right? Or you are happy, you have to pretend that you are sad because when you are happy, you cannot show that you are happy because if you show that, your formator might pick an offense with that, right? So that's just to clarify what mechanical is. So I had to juxtapose that with organical as well. Fortunately, do you have something to add?
No, I think you said it all. That's perfect. It's about thinking about the human person as a machine, as against thinking about the human person
So
as an organic.
I'm still looking at the chat to see if you have any questions for Charles.
We are calling him back. Hmm. Ah, good.
This network is really bad.
Yeah, the person you are calling is currently unavailable. It's not available, even direct call.
That's crazy. Okay, Fortunatus, while we wait for Charles, I will just ask you a few questions and you might want to
Okay,
share
okay.
your own part of the story. So I am very okay, Charles
Hello.
is back.
Yes, just
Yes.
um,
Can I? Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. You can
Yeah,
hear
please
me.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that if it is possible, the formators could help the commandees, those who they are helping, to be.
I can only imagine the frustration on Charles' end, trying to say all these things. And network, goodness. We lost him again. Okay.
Okay, we've lost Charles again. So sorry for the break in transmission. No, this is Nigeria and network is not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Fortunatus, I was going to ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
I believe that, or I am very sure that you might have been receiving some kind of DMs, some kind of messages, some kind of queries from
Yes.
different people across the globe, across the society, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
and I believe
Just
that,
hold on a minute, okay? Just hold on a minute. Just remain on the phone, okay?
and I
Yes.
and I believe that some of these questions might be directed towards why you do and what you are doing. Why are you trying to drag the church, the seminary, formators, and the rest? So, how do you take some of these feedbacks you get from people? We want to hear
Yeah.
you.
It feels good to be on the receiving end of the questions. um, how do I feel? It's a mixed feeling because I receive questions, I receive comments, I receive feedbacks that cut across like different ranges. Some are appreciative, some are attacking, some are suggesting that this person is just bitter and disgruntled. But on the large scale, I I have lost a lot, you know, in terms of relationships, in terms of friends, because come to think of it, I have been in seminary my whole life. I've been in seminary since when I was 12 years in 2005. And I left in 2019. I think I was 27 or 28. So I was in seminary for like 14 years. So you see that the whole of my formative years was in the seminary, and friends, relationships built were always or almost around seminary, church, you know, from where you do your apostolic work, your friends in the seminary, your classmates, your teachers, your priests, friends. Um, so there's a lot of misunderstanding to why I do what I do. But one thing encourages me. I feel like I have an experience that is very unique because I have been an ex-seminarian twice. I keep saying that in one lifetime, you know. So, um, how do I feel receiving those? Some of them, this program and what I do on Facebook has really taught me as a person, has really shaped my personality. Sometimes I receive messages, comments, and DMs that are, oh my goodness. So I take off, like I take some time, I don't respond, I read it again and again, and then I come back. If I need to come back, I come back to offer to respond on the issue, because it's easy to get emotional, but emotions becloud judgment. So yeah, when I receive those, I take that some time to think about it, to reflect, and to notice how I feel. There's something about emotions. Emotions are in energy that we need to live our lives. Emotions are energies that we need to thrive. And there's no bad emotion. Yeah, I mean, the five basic emotions: angry, glad, sad, sorrow, fear, and shame. Those five emotions are very important. So sometimes I feel angry, and I notice that I
I
feel
know, right?
angry. Yeah. And I notice, I recognize that, I acknowledge that. And that gives my body permission to feel it. And when I'm done feeling it, then I choose to. So we can feel emotions, but we also are responsible for how we respond to emotions. Either we act on them, or we act them out. So to act on emotion would be, for instance, to talk to somebody about it, to just go walking and thinking about it, to go jogging, to go exercising, to reflect on it critically. But to act with emotion would be to maybe like just call the person out, or get destructive. So yeah, I feel a lot of emotions ranging from good, bad, ugly, and all that. But a lot of times this has shaped me. This has educated my personality. And yeah,
All right, thank you so much, Fortunatus. Is Charles still on the call?
no, I lost him again. He
Okay,
says he
so
hear what we say. Go ahead.
okay, so while we still wait for Charles until he's able to join us again, I'll be asking a follow-up question to your
Okay.
response, right? But then, before asking the question, I guess the point where you said you feel a lot of emotions. And guys, this is just from me to you. Man is an emotional being, just like man is a loving being.
Mhm.
Whether you like it or not, it's a fact that we cannot deny, right?
Yeah.
Man is an emotional. But what you decide to do with that, it is what makes or shapes you. It can make you,
Hmm.
it can mar you, or it can destroy you, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on what you use your emotions for. If you turn your emotions into positive energy, it's going to shape you. If you turn it into
Hmm.
negative energy, it's going to destroy you. And
Hmm.
now this brings me to my question. So you've received some of these comments, some of these feedbacks. Hello, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Am I still on this call?
Yes, you
Okay,
are. You
so
are.
you've
You are.
received some of these calls, some of these messages, and the rest. Okay, is there any point in time you've considered quitting what you are doing?
That's a very good question. um, if I
Has there,
ever
did
thought,
you get my question?
yes, yes,
Has
yes,
there,
yes.
okay,
So what I have, no, that's the answer. I've gotten very busy with
okay,
work, with my life here, so that sometimes I soft pedaled because just time life was busy. But I've not considered quitting. Instead, I've considered safety, not for myself, but for my parents. Yeah, my mom was threatened by somebody in Bayelsa, and the fact that I don't know the person who threatened my mom worries me. So yeah, I've considered safety, not for myself, but for my family, because obviously I don't have any need for my life. Honestly, um, I just don't know how to explain how I see life. I drop dead now, that's fine. I drop dead next 100 years, that's fine. but am I able to share anything to make any impact? I mean, we read history books. We read about people who lived 100 years ago and they are gone, and like they are really gone, and we will be gone. And in these few years that we have, sometime somehow we get deluded, we get forgetful of the fact that it is just but a short time. So I've not considered quitting. I i have considered safety, not for myself because I feel like I would die when God wants me to die, but for my family. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. I totally get your point and I admire your courage. So I will only say that yeah, nothing good comes easy, right? When you are on a mission or when you have a purpose to live for
Yeah.
and you want to change certain situations, you always get attacks.
Yeah.
But I asked that question to see how you take some of these things because it's some of these attacks that that we receive that test us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we
Yeah.
give up based on what people have to say, then it's not a
Yeah.
purpose,
Yeah.
right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
not a
Yeah.
purpose. And then, but if you stand tall and face those challenges, then you have a cause you are
Yeah.
fighting for. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe when you started the whole son of a big God page, there was a cause you wanted to
Yeah.
achieve to give
Yeah.
voice to ex-seminarians because a
Yeah.
lot of ex-seminarians are traumatized. Some people have not even recovered themselves. Some people are still struggling. Some people, because of the challenges faced by the society, and they've faced from the society because of the things people in the society have told them they've been relegated to the bottom
Yeah.
of the table and they are still struggling to pick the pieces out of their experiences and make meaning for their lives. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to ask you this question. It's going to be dicey. It's a bit dicey. So you spent over 12 years in the seminary, right?
14 actually.
Okay, you spent 40 years in the seminary, and now
Yeah.
I will say that you've experienced two systems, the system in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria and the system out there. So,
Yeah.
based on your experiences, I need you to do a side by side comment. What
Mm-hmm.
are those things you've seen in the Nigerian setting or in the African setting that needs to be sustained, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that you give your 100% kudos to. And what are
Mm-hmm.
those things that they need to change? That the
Mm-hmm.
whole church system or the seminary system needs to change when you compare it to other places or to
Mm.
other culture or other society you've experienced. Because I believe that even this seminary stuff was brought to us by foreigners, and now
Mm.
you are having the opportunity to experience how things are done over there. So, what are you going to say when you place the two systems side by side?
Okay. Well, that's a
So,
very
what are the strengths and the weaknesses? What are the
yeah.
strengths and the weaknesses, and what do you think can be done better? So, like I said, it's a very dicey question, right? And I believe a lot
Yeah.
of people are listening to us.
Yeah, that's a very powerful question, and I feel that my life journey has given me some opportunity to get some sense around that. I studied here in a seminary, actually, but not a core seminary. So the Jesuits have a theological institute, a theology school here in California, where they train their seminarians. Um, but that school is also open to lay students, open to people who have no desire to be
Like DI,
priests. Yes, like
like
DI, like
DI,
Dominican Institute. Yes, like Dominican Institute in Nigeria. So now Dominican Institute is called Dominican
Dominican
University.
University.
So there the Dominicans train their seminarians, but lay people are also welcome to study there. So that's where I studied here. So my classmates here in the US are all priests. And if you follow my Facebook, you will notice I attended some of their ordinations. I served as an altar server in during their diaconate ordination, but during the priestly, I attended and I snapped pictures and all that. So yeah, I feel grateful that my life journey has given me that opportunity to see these two sides. And I think that is why my heart burns deeply, knowing that we can do it better. Like we are the same church. Like it's the same theology. There are different contexts, there are different cultures, but I feel that's why I really, really yearn and desire for an improvement. And I'll start with, what do I think the Nigerian church, especially seminaries, are doing well? Um, dedication. Dedication comes to mind, and it's not dedication from the. I would put dedication and zeal together, and we can talk a lot about what influences, what feeds those dedications, those zeals. And I speak about this around seminarians. So the dedication of young men who choose to become priests, who lay their lives aside, who look at the different things they could have done with their lives and choose that they want to be priests, and they go in for the formation with all of that desire. So that dedication is really commendable. A lot of seminarians just making that choice, it's commendable. We don't have that number out here. Okay, you cannot see anything like that here in the US, where you go to bigger, they are full. You go to Ikotep, and then there are many. You go to Dominican, that's not there. There are cultural, you know, reasons for some of that. We know that we are both Nigerians. I don't want to go into that, but just to honor that zeal, to honor that dedication, to want to serve God, and to come into formation and submit to the system. So that's one thing I want to lift. That is something I really think that is going well. What happens after that is a big question. Like, okay, how is this dedication harnessed, and how is it channeled? How is it formed? How is it even honored? It's a different ball game. One thing I see that could be done better by seminaries or the church in Nigeria is compassion. Um, and compassion has a lot to do with just having the heartbeat of God. Um, I don't know that God will send people out of seminary the way we do in Nigeria. I mean, these people are going to still be serving God in some way. These people are still going to be God's children, right? Um, so I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to backtrack a little bit. Even before I talk about compassion, let's talk about one big thing called senioribus junioribus. Senioribus junioribus. For those who have not been through the seminary system, those most of us, while we're in the seminary, we like to, even unconsciously, pride ourselves as intellectuals and as people who have studied all that needs to be studied, because we are studying Latin that maybe others are not studying in their schools, and cramming philosophies that are wonderful, open our minds. But that said, so senioribus junioribus is just adding ribus to senior and junior. Rebus is is some part of Latin declension. I don't even know which word it's coming from, but Signor Rebus is just to Latinize it, to make it fancy, and Junior Rebus is to Latinize it, to make it fancy. So it's about hierarchy. And then I cannot take away from the fact that we are a respectful people culturally. Um, so that also plays a part. However, there is that emphasis in the Nigerian seminary system of, I'm senior to you, I'm older than you, I came before you, so I eat and you eat after I eat, so you wash my plates. So You lick my boots, so you clean my shoes, so you don't talk when I talk, so my opinion is superior, so what I say stands. So like, it is a very destructive element in the seminary formation in Nigeria in a lot of ways. And the worst thing that it does is it kills integrity, it kills honesty, it kills organic life and organic living. So that something is true, but because it is coming from a younger person, it cannot be true, it cannot be shared, it cannot be said. So that somebody needs to be corrected, but there is no senior person above that person in the room. He cannot be corrected. He cannot, that correction cannot be shared. That moment of learning will never happen. Somebody, so that somebody needs to be held accountable around a misdeed, and there is no senior person who is ready to do that. He cannot be held accountable, he cannot be corrected, and that evil will continue as a cycle. The worst part of the cycle, I lost Francis, I hope he comes back. The worst part of the cycle is that because it happened to me as a junior. Okay, I'm just continuing the response. So I'm saying that the worst part of that cycle, it becomes a cycle called, we can think about it as a cyclic evil. A cyclic evil in the seminary system, because it happened to me when I was in JS1. I'm now in SS3. I will prepare them. Because when we were in philosophy 1, we could not use phone. Those in philosophy 1 today cannot use phone. Because when I was assistant parish priest, I didn't have my freedom. My parish priest was wicked. I will do that to the next assistant parish priest under me. So this does not stop in the seminary. It continues to the end of the priestly life. It continues into ministry. So there is that unhealthiness coming from this. It's very unhealthy. It doesn't support organic living. It doesn't support any form of just genuineness. You will know the truth, but you cannot say it. You will know what is right, but you cannot do it because your bosses are not doing it and are against it. So yeah, it's a big issue. It's a lot, and it informs the formation system. It informs a lot about the formation system. So there is no compassion coming from there. There is no genuine growth coming from there. There is no room for responsible freedom coming from there. So seminarians are like watched as they are policemen around. Um, and also, there is the fact that because there's a lot of vocations, people treat the vocations they have anyhow. But that's something that should be reevaluated, because every vocation is a gift. And if they're not called to the priesthood, they are still called to life, they are still called to holiness. And we can help those people to achieve what they are called for. After spending 14 years in Nigeria, I came here in the US and I spent 3 years with the Jesuits, being classmates with Jesuit seminarians, being taught by Jesuit priests and some other lay professors. It was just amazing. I never called any of my priests professors by like Father, Chris, Eddie, George. You know, if you call them Father, like you're discomforting them. That is cultural, by the way. So I don't expect that of our people. But so one thing I want to lift about the system here is simplicity.
Exactly, simplicity.
Is simplicity. It's not a big deal. You gave your life for service, so go serve. Don't stress anybody. You want to be a priest, so go do it, and they will support you very well. Don't stress anybody. Don't be entitled to anybody's greeting, honor, goodness. And it's a cultural thing here too. It's a very cultural thing. If I knew you were going to ask me this question, I would have put up a picture. On the day that the current president of my university was inaugurated or placed on her seat, the governor of this state, Gavin Newsom, came to the school because he studied in Santa Clara University. The governor of California came to Santa Clara University for that event. It was in like a basketball court, very large place. You know how basketball courts have like seats layered up, 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 up. I was sitting at one end, he was sitting at the other end. He was sitting alone. There's nobody around him. People are not like no entourage. No, he was totally ignored. They didn't even call him to the high table. This is the governor of the state. So that's how priests are treated. Like you are honored because of what you have chosen to do with your life. But other than that, there is no difference between you and anyone. Priests come for mass, and if you're not the chief celebrant, you can feel free to sit with the people. You don't see that in Nigeria. So even with the seminarians, there's freedom. There's responsible freedom. They have like bank cards, credit cards, which they can use to go buy food or buy what they need. If you are not going to be in the house, you just tell your friends that I'm not coming back for prayers. Like I'll be coming back late, just like we did it in Schoenstatt. So part of my frustration is that I have lived some part of like responsible freedom in the seminary in Nigeria, in Schoenstatt Fathers. There was something like that. So I know it's
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, I know it's possible. So and then I come and see it here, and I'm like, wow, this is really something we should learn. Anyway, what do I think is the growing edge for the seminaries here? Um, that's something I pick up because of my own culture, and it's not even a big deal. It's just the fact that maybe I need to understand them better. Um, I don't really have a name for it, but um, yeah, there is a lot of, how do I say this now? Okay, let me come back to this. Okay,
Say it
let me come.
anyhow, we understand.
Let me come back. I'm trying to get the right words for it. Yeah, the space they have is just abundant. It's abundant, and then there is no follow up. So if you want to be a good priest, it's all on you. You know, there's going to be therapy for you. There's going to be spiritual direction for you. There's going to be all the avenues for growth for you. But there is no real. If we pretend here, ooh, you get away with it because there's no like serious eyes looking over your shoulders, making sure you're doing stuff. So that comes from the trust that the formation has on the individual. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Fortunatus. So I picked some few things from what you said. The first thing is the fact that we can do it better in Africa or in Nigeria, as the case may be, because it's the same theology, it's the same
Yes.
church, right? And then
Yes.
you drew from the fact that Nigerians are
Hmm.
and the Nigerians have a high crave for vocation, which is something that you give it up to them. Of course, that is not surprising, given that Africans are entirely religious people, right? Even
Hmm.
before the introduction of the Western or of the Western system of religion, right? We were
Hmm.
traditional believers,
Hmm.
right? And that
Yeah.
translated into Christianity. Like before the introduction
Yes.
of Christianity, we were traditional
Yes.
people and as in conk religious guys, right? And
Yes.
that translated into Christianity, and you see that vocation very strong
Yeah.
in Africa. And that's why some
Yeah.
people will tell you that there's high vocation in Nigeria, and Nigeria or Africa might be the face of vocation in the nearest future. But
Hmm.
now, there's something you also draw, you also pointed out, which is very important, which is the fact that you see a lack of compassion, growth, empathy within the system here, in Africa or in Nigeria, as the case may be, because of maybe the high, as in the authoritarianism you find in the system,
Yeah.
the idea of seniority you find in the system, and this
Mm-hmm.
has to do with pride, and this has to do with some level of pride or negative pride, because pride can be
Yes.
very positive. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pride can be
Mm-hmm.
very positive. There should be a point where you pat yourself at the back and say, "I'm doing well, I'm doing great,"
Mm-hmm.
or "I should keep it up."
Mm-hmm.
But they've translated this into the negative aspect, and which is where things need to be done in a
Yeah.
which is where simplicity needs to come into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I see a comment that responsible freedom you talked about. Why is it rare in Africa and in Nigeria in particular? And most of our formators were formed by this white men. Why is our own different? Anyway, like I think he already addressed that when he talked about seniority, and which I'm reiterating, which is the authoritarianism you find in the system. I also experienced some level of freedom when I was in the seminary, when I was at Schoenstatt Fathers. At least I
Mm-hmm.
was using my phone. I could sit at the table with my formators. We could chat
Yeah.
and the rest. But then there were some formators who were actually dodging. We were actually dodging from sitting on the same table with some formators because of some perceived stuff, right? We were dodging
Yeah.
from some of them, but we had that opportunity, we had that freedom to sit with them, chat with them, discuss, and maybe share issues with them, right? But
Yeah.
the question is, why can't we sustain that? Which is a very big issue, right? And which
Yeah.
brings me to my next question. Fortunatus, like I said, this is hot seat. And thank God you
Yes.
weren't prepared for these questions. And I didn't expect you to prepare for them. So I needed your responses to flow naturally, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this brings me to my next question, and it has to do with the issue of criticism,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will always say that criticism is the currency for improvement. But
Mm-hmm.
now, what would you say about formators in Africa being open to criticism and formators over there being open
Mm-hmm.
to criticism? How do they receive it?
Mm. Thank you. Yeah,
Crazy,
that
right?
yes, that
Crazy,
I
right?
will I love the question. I do love the question. And I want to just say something briefly about this other question. Why is it difficult in Africa or Nigeria in particular for seminarians to be allowed to live in responsible freedom or to even be trained in responsible freedom? And some of these formators were formed by people from this part of the world. Two things. There's something that we emphasize in Nigeria, especially in the Catholic Church, especially in seminaries, and they call it the church is hierarchical. The church is hierarchical. The church is hierarchical. Also, building on the senioribus, junioribus. But they always forget to emphasize that the church is also collegial. The church is also collegial. It's not just hierarchical. It's also collegial. It's also a place where people rub minds together. It's also a place where people are honored, whether you are on the top of the hierarchy or you are the least in the hierarchy. So that one-sided emphasis on the hierarchy of the church is a danger to the healthy living of the church as a unit or as a community. So that's one. And then it's a thing about us. It's a thing about us. Some of our formators, like in that when the Oyibos were there, they were all there. They were found by these guys. But the minute the Oyibos leave, you find that your allowance reduce. The number of bread on Sunday reduce. I don't know if it's because the Oyibos brought the money, probably, but I don't think the Oyibos also brought the moral and the love. And if they brought it, they have taught it to these formators, but they just don't continue in that way. So that's what I wanted to. I think it's something about us, honestly. Even priests here in 2024, when they travel home, they still met out a lot of um like they still do things that are not compassionate. They see oppress. The Nigerian space is one that is largely built around oppression. And this oppression has trickled down to the families, to the churches. So I come back now, I pick two soldiers, put them in the car, and anybody that overtakes me, I will stop them and flog hell out of them. I mean, let me get out of that and get to your question um about criticism. Yeah. So this is the reason why I highlighted senioribus junioribus. Who are you to criticize him? A lot of priests follow what I do on my page, and their question is, who is Fortunatus? Like Fortunatus, who is that? It's not because he went to America. Like, who is he? The question is not about, is he saying something that we need to listen to? If this, there was a time Bishop Ona made almost an exact summary of what I've been doing on my page. And they were posting it and they were fine, but it cannot come from Fortunatus. Who is he? Son of big God, get to hell. So, criticism in the Catholic Church in Nigeria can only come from the senior. That's the problem. It may be right, but who are you to say it? You might be right, but who are you to say it? You see how this senioribus junioribus has messed up with integrity?
Hello?
Yes, I'm with
Are
you.
you still there?
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi,
I
Francis.
am
Can you hear
lost.
me?
I don't know if others heard you, but
Yo, I'm here.
your
I'm
voice
here.
is breaking.
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
it's great now. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
So
you.
I'm saying, you see how this senioribus junioribus messed up with integrity, messed up with honesty, and obviously messed our growth. I cannot honestly, genuinely ask my parish priest, why did you do this? Like what is going on? Because I am a bloody ex-seminarian who was not good enough to become a priest. But another person, the vicar of the diocese or the bishop of the diocese, will call the priest and he will run and prostrate. So it's not about better opinions. It's not about just rubbing minds for growth. It's about who says it. And I wanted to, I hope you ask me this question. There's a question I want you to ask me so badly. But if we don't get there, I'll say it myself. Are you
Okay.
there?
I'm with
Yes.
you. I'm with you.
So this issue of criticism is difficult because we know how to label people. I mean, and to be honest with you, who is the right person to question how things are done in the Nigerian seminary? Is it not ex-seminarians who have love for the church? Ex-seminarians who have gone further to study the Catholic theology? Ex-seminarians who are still working in the church? Just judging from the fact of the senioribus junioribus thing, no priest can speak up and remain unharmed. You cannot speak up as a priest and remain intact. The next posting, or they can even quicken your own posting. You are going to the village. But I ask myself, what does it mean going to the village? Will you die? Like it's kind of, that's another different ball game. But the question is, did you become a priest to just be in the cities? Like the people in the village, do they not need the gospel? Why is being sent to the village now a punishment? Anyway, that's a big question for a different time. So yeah, the issue here is that people can have conversations even in the classroom. It's a cultural thing. You come to class and the lecturer is not expecting you to share what the authors of the books you read have said. He's expecting you to have your own thought, to share your thoughts, to engage with the authors. And they are so happy when you disagree with the authors. As long as you can establish your own argument for that. So it's a culture. It's a culture that respects and honors and values disagreement, critical disagreement, because that's how they built their society. That's how growth comes. If you want to build a road and somebody has a better idea, the better idea wins. I was talking with a priest. You know him. He studied in Schoenstatt. He's here in the US. I don't want to call his name because I don't have his permission. He told me that during their parish council meeting, a young boy can bring an idea that all of them, both father or accountant or everybody, if it comes from the youngest person in the meeting and it is the superior idea, they follow it with happiness. But in our place, if you are included in such meeting, they want you to feel that it's a privilege. They want you to even feel honored for being included in the meeting. So there is a cultural dynamic that is at play here that loves criticism, that sees criticism as an ingredient for growth. And in our place, there's a cultural dynamic both in the church and outside the church that feels threatened by superior ideas or even by different ideas. I don't even want to claim that my ideas are superior, by different ideas. Yeah, that's what I think about criticism.
Okay, so I hear a lot of autonomy in decision making here from what you were saying, right? And
Yeah.
now this lead me to like two a question, but the question like has a child alongside it, right?
Okay.
So now, drawing from what you said, what would you say about carrying students or seminarians along in the decision making process, right? And then, what suggestion are you going to put out there for mentors and for the formation to make it better in Nigeria and in Africa?
Mm, mm. So I love the way you ask me these questions and the fact that we didn't think about them or plan them. Oh goodness. One thing that comes to mind immediately is just what is the formation system all about? What is this formation and what is the formator's sense of his role? If the formator feels that he has been asked by the bishop to come and select the successful people, then those who are not selected are unsuccessful. What that means is that automatically being expelled or being asked to leave, you are a casualty. But there's a different understanding, there's a different posture that I hope I invite formators to embrace. You are not called as a formator to select the successful. You are called by God and the church to partner with God and the church to honor the call in people's lives, to honor it, not to select anybody. We are all called to holiness, but we choose to respond differently. So a seminarian is in the seminary desiring to be a priest. He is questioning, am I called to this? And you have been selected by the church as a formator to journey with him in that courtship. You are going to be responsible to the church to say this person is good or this person is fit or not. So what if you do not think that he's a casualty? Why not take him out and buy him some beer? And while you're drinking the beer, you say, oh boy, oh God, you're not going to fit to this thing. This father, I don't see you. I've seen you for 6 years. You don't wake up early. You are angry with your brothers. Name the terms. Name what is going on. And tell him, oh boy, we know if we continue with you, but I know one boy, I know one guy in Abuja that is good with something you do. Maybe I've noticed that you're a good cameraman. I know one guy in Abuja that's very good in camera. Can I connect you with him so that he will train you on how to, you know, pursue that gift, that talent I found in you? This is what I suggest to formators in Nigeria. And by the way, you don't just do that once when you notice it. You notice it, you call them, you talk about it with them. Hey, it doesn't seem like you understand what we're doing here. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. So this is what we do information. We do A, we do B, we do C. How are you responding to that? You have that conversation. They know that you really want to support them to find where they are called. And in that dialogue, you honor them. They feel seen by their formator. So they are not going to be running about pretending for you. You give them a chance. So that's what I see. The fact that formators treat seminarians like trash is because they don't understand their role. Your role is not to select the successful. Priesthood is not success. Priesthood is faithfulness to a life of service, a very tough, sacrificial life. It's not an easy life. So nobody should jump into it thinking they have made it. A lot of unhappy priests will tell you that. Priesthood is not success, it's faithfulness, it's service, it's painful. So you shouldn't be giving somebody a chance to live that life thinking that you've done them good. You should be journeying with these people. Yeah, that's what I think. Chooks Divine, what did you say? Son of Big God, sir. Can you see our comments? Yes, I can see your comments. My admin was supposed to be here to bring your comments up, but I think he went off. So yeah, I can see your comments, my brother. Thank you, Chooks Divine. Thank you all. I see
This
your
network
comments.
is something else.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay. Chooks Divine, I see your comments. Today I am on hot seat, so I'm not able to be bringing them up. But I have somebody.
Um. Okay. So Chuk said he has some questions to ask. Chuk, please type your questions in the comment box, and we will attend to them. Sorry, my network has been a bit bad. So thank you so much, Fortunatus. So this is my second to last question, and it's also a pregnant kind of question, right?
Okay.
So this question draws from a post you shared recently by a Schoenstatt priest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he wrote about priests are also humans,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where he
Yes.
mentioned that priests are also humans. So
Yeah.
following drawing from that, while we understand that priests are also humans, do you think priests do really accept themselves as humans or superhumans? And do
Mm-hmm.
you think priests have reached that level of vulnerability whereby they tend to also introspect and say, yes, I am faulty here and I've messed up. I need to do better, right? And
Mm.
and then I'm missing the third part of this question. And
Mm.
do you think every actions of the priest uh, requires that caveat that says priests are also humans, or there are certain actions that we have to discard that caveat and say, Oga, you are faulty here, accept the truth?
Mm-hmm.
So this is my question.
Francis, who sent you? Who sent you? I love this. I love this. I love this. This just gives me chance and opportunity to. It saves me time of writing and of making videos. Just shooting these questions out. I love this. Thanks to.
I hope I've been able to pick that question you wanted me to ask.
Yeah, you're getting there. Yes, yes, yes. I want to thank all those on live who are joining us. Please share this. This is like a moment for me to share my heart, to share what is in my heart about why I do what I do. This is a moment. I do love this moment. So thank you, Francis, for these questions. Thank you, Chooks Divine. Thanks you, Sochima Glory. Thank you, Gift. Thank you, Oguda John Paul. Thank you, all of you. I can't call all of your names now. Then will take so much time. But I see your comments. Please, thank you so much. could you go ahead and share this live so that more people will see it and get to know what we're doing and join us? All right. So coming back to your question, you know, Brother Francis, let me call you Brother Francis. The problem we have in Nigeria is sentimentalism, trends, and emotionalism. And our priests and our politicians understand that very well. For God's sake, is it a new discovery that a priest is a human? That would warrant those posts that they were sharing, and it was going viral, it was trending. Priests are humans too. Like, when you even add two, like, did you just find out? Oh, it's like, Eureka! Priests are humans too.
We've seen the light.
We just discovered.
My rechargeable is a bit bad. I hope this carries us. We don't
If
have
it's
light.
not if it's not okay, the other time when you even turned off your video, your fine picture on that your red was even sufficient. So whichever works is okay. So the questions you ask me are very key to inviting our people, Nigerians, to reevaluate how we swallow everything that is thrown down on us.
Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So yes, the fact that somebody went out to share that priests are humans is I tried to be very nice when I wrote that thing. It is emotional blackmail. That is pure emotional blackmail. And I say this as somebody who is a member of this church, as somebody who may be a monk tomorrow. The doors to priesthood has not been closed for me. I'm not married yet. So if I become a priest tomorrow and tell you that kind of thing, call me and tell me that is emotional blackmail. If I become a monk tomorrow and tell you that kind of thing, tell me that that is emotional blackmail. How? Because contextlessness is meaninglessness. Without context, we don't have means. What is the context of that message? The context is that a priest committed suicide. So priests are humans too, because priests can commit suicide. Is that new? And we say this with a lot of pain in our heart for the loss of the priest that died. But the fact that you are saying that in the Nigerian environment, where priests are not humans, and I'm going to prove it to all of us. And this is not emotionality. I'm not trying to make you emotional, dear listeners. I'm just giving you points. So let's follow facts over sentiments. What makes the human person? What makes the human person? The fact that we're vulnerable, the fact that we are flexible, the fact that we breathe in and out, and a lot of other factors that I cannot name exactly. So, how many times have you seen a priest who said, I'm sorry for what I did? I was wrong in Nigeria. A priest comes late for mass and he said, I'm sorry. Oh, it was, we were just drive. They will say sorry and take the sorry in the same instant, in the same sentence. It's like the way the sorry comes for those who even say, I'm sorry for coming late, is like, I'm sorry for coming late. It was my cat key. They just deflect the whole thing. But a few priests do well. Let me make that clear. A few priests are still on track, living their life, being vulnerable. But the point is this: priests in Nigeria, most of them, not all, still need to come down from their high places and meet the people. It is still from that senioribus junioribus. You become a priest and you are now in that elevated place where you cannot interact with your people. People do not see you as humans, even if you think you are. How many times has any priest shown vulnerability in any way? Have you ever seen a priest cry? Have you ever seen a priest? Even the fact that the priest that Father Mentor was mentioning, he slumped and died. If somebody know, and Nigerian people are so loving to their priests, so that is why it is frustrating to hear that kind of thing. It's so dismissive of the love and care that Nigerians have on priests. If not that Nigerians love Catholic priests, I would have had like 1 million followers. But they don't send me because they think I am angry. So priests are humans too. Is such an emotionally blackmailing expression. If they are humans too, then there's no need for it. This is argument of creating a straw man. Francis, you know this very well. You know, you create something that is not existing and start defending it, but nobody said you're not humans, for God's sake. Who said you are not humans? Like, why are you creating that? Who has attacked a priest in Nigeria? Who has abused a priest in Nigeria? Who has maligned a priest in Nigeria? Apart from the few instances where some fine girls who want a fine priest don't get him and falsely accuse him. But even in that instance, it's false accusation, not part of the return in investment you have made as a priest. Shebi God said, all those who leave father and mother and children for my sake will receive 100 folds with persecutions. The greatest persecutions that priests receive are coming from fellow priests. The day I will tell a story of a case I treated in Nsukka, this Facebook will break. I just don't have the strength for that story. A priest that was brought to my table, and as I was handling the case, other priests were putting fire for me to expose the issue. Anyway, priests are human too is a very emotionally gaslighting statement. So when you are sick, let your people know. The same people who bought you a car will still be able to take you to hospital. When you are feeling bad, cry. Show the people your emotion as a human being. You know, there are things they say you cannot share with lay people. You have to share with fellow priests. Okay. And after doing that, you come and tell us priests are humans. So who said you're not humans? Let me drop it there.
Okay, thank you so much, Fortunatus, for that. I hear the whole blackmail, emotional blackmail that priests really need to come to that point whereby they will really act as humans. They need to also be vulnerable. They need to also um, need to be humble to say, yes, I am going through XYZ, right? And that is what will make them humans. So, while saying that, you mentioned something, and I'm going to ask you a question from that. That whenever you post, people will say it's because you are angry. So, my brother Fortunatus, are you angry because you left the seminary? Are you angry with the church? Is it the anger that is pushing you to do what you are doing? Or why are you doing what you are doing?
Thank you. And for you to ask that direct question, how do I explain it? I mean, if I feel angry, I've learned in my life to
I'm
know
sure
it
you,
is like this.
I'm sure you didn't see this question coming, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Um.
That's why I
So,
said
so the point
sorry,
is,
please hold on before you proceed. And for those of you in the comment section or on this session with us, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. And Chooks, we see your question. After this, we attend to your question before I ask my last question, right? But please, if you have any thoughts, if you have anything you want to share, if you have any input you wish to add and to on the things and that have been shared on this session, please do feel free to do that. Over to you, Fortunatus.
yeah. So, what will make me angry? I left the seminary in 2019 and I planned it. I left in May, and by June, So I left from Ibadan. I think I talked to you before leaving. I left in June, and in May and in June I was serving in NYSC. And from NYSC I applied to the US and I came here. Francis here was already guiding me into one of the jobs he was doing at the time. What makes me angry? Like, why would I be angry? Was I expelled from the seminary? Yeah, I was expelled in junior seminary. I was expelled because we were doing Imakwandaibo, big boys. We were using phone. They said we should not use phone. And I'm proud I used that phone because it still aligns with my values. I don't see why a seminarian in this age should not be allowed to use phones. You should be able to know how to use it and how to control yourself around it. By the way, then it was just because we had finished our WAEC SS3 exams, and we all went home and brought, some of us, not all of us, some of us went home, brought our phones, and we're like, oh, you have a cousin sister, give me her number. Let me chat with her. That to go, midnight chat with to go and all that. So that's
The
the
to go
fun.
era.
Yeah. So we were catching those phones. We were just having good time chatting and all that. It wasn't a big deal. It was, but the director caught somebody, and after they flogged the guy, the guy wrote another, I think 19 other names. So plus him, okay, I think he wrote 18 names. So plus him, 19 of us were expelled. So I was expelled. And then that was the moment my family wanted me not to be a priest anymore. And I'm like, I do want to be a priest. So I eloped from the house, went and stayed with my spiritual director. For 6 months, my family did not know where I was until I got admission to Schoenstatt because I still wanted to be a priest. And I left from Osaka to Ibadan with my parents' blessing, by the way. Went to the seminary in Ibadan, and I will be there from 2013 till 2017. Is it 2013 or 2012? 2013, I think. To 2019. Wow, good. Okay. So I will be there from 2013 to 2019. So, and then in 2019, I decided to step out. There were a lot of heavy reasons why I stepped out, but none of that is because any person offended me.
A second, sir. Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. So none of that is because anybody offended me. Till today, in fact, if I open my WhatsApp now, my formators are doing something in the community. They are sending me message because, in fact, even the job I do now, when I applied, that job had to go and verify with my congregation. And when they sent message to my superiors chatted me on WhatsApp. Francis, so the job I do now, when I applied, they had to reach out to Father Charles and Father Kingsley without telling me. Father Charles and Father Kingsley are our superiors in Schoenstatt Fathers. And these two people
Yeah,
chatted me privately. They chatted me privately and said, what you see what we received? I'm like, okay, yeah, I applied to them. I didn't know they would reach out to you. Respond to them however you like. And they responded to them. So, like, who is the person that I'm angry with? None of my formators treated me badly. The reason why I'm in the US is because my formators supported me even after I had resigned. Anybody who has gone through the US process knows that there's a point in time where you need something. My formators gave me that thing to come here. So, am I angry? No. But will they take my explanations? I know that they will not. So, because that is the only way they can dismiss what I'm doing. That's the only way they can dismiss what I'm sharing. But this is a sincere response after seeing how badly we are doing and seeing that we can actually do better because it is the same theology, it is the same Christ, it is the same church. Yes, we have different contexts culturally, but as we continue to aspire for goodness, I know that it's not impossible for things to be done well in Nigeria. And I also give credit, not actually credit. I have patience. I have some patience. That's why the frustration doesn't kill me. I have some patience around this job that I do. I mean, what I do on social media, because I understand that no priest that I know in Nigeria has a history or a memory of when things were better. It has always been like this. It has always been senioribus, junioribus. It has always been the priest is separated. It has always been the priest is higher. And that goes down to the seminary system and how seminarians are formed. So yeah, I if I say it from now till tomorrow, it's left for anybody to take it. But I don't know. I'm not angry.
So yeah, so I was very intentional asking that question because I see a lot of comments, and sometimes when you post, people will say, "Why are you angry? Why are you always attacking the church?" I know there are some times that we chat in the other room,
Mm-hmm.
DM, so people will
Mm-hmm.
not start mistaking, misinterpreting that when we
Yeah.
chat and we get to share some ideas. So the question was intentionally asked just to
Mm.
put it out there that so Fortunatus does what he's doing out of love, just to give people the voice, because a lot of people feel suppressed. A lot of people are feeling that pain, and in one of our sessions we explained the what suppression leads, right? It leads to repression, and when you repress, you tend to become violent. You tend to
Mm-hmm.
act in certain way. People will see you as hostile. So he does
Mm-hmm.
not do what he's doing out of a place of rebellion or revolution, but then out of a place of love to give people voice, ex-seminarians voice who have been looking for platforms to share
Yes.
their experience, to be vulnerable, to let it out, to cry
Yeah.
it out, and then they heal. Because all these things, they are therapeutic. These are therapeutic elixirs. When you share your challenges, you are in a way undergoing some form of therapy, and that's why people
Mm-hmm.
pay people huge sums of money just to get them listen to them, right? Just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
listen to people, and this is what he's doing. I believe. So let's
Yeah.
move to, and thank you so much, and Cindy and Chinansa. I saw you guys wishing me a happy new month, and happy new month to all of you all
Happy
of you
new
out there.
month.
So Chooks is asking that how does the claim that this path chose me align with the concept of free will in making life decisions? And does this perspective negate personal agency in choosing one's purpose? Chooks and philosophy. The statement suggests that love eliminates fear, even of self-preservation. Can such an ideal be realistically sustained in extreme circumstances, such as
Mm.
persecution or life-threatening situations? Your last question is not complete, so do you want to retype your third question? But these are some of the questions from Chooks. And please, if you have any question for Fortunatus, please kindly drop them on or in the chat box. Fortunatus, over to you.
Yeah. Good. I love that guy, Chooks, the way he asks questions. And I also have found that I appreciate questions, direct questions, because as long as you're sincere, questions help you to bring out more. Like, when questions point on something that you may not have seen the need to let open, you bring it out and you're like, wow, okay, I love sharing that. So agency and this part shows me that's a very very good rebuttal or a good invitation for me to clarify. This part shows me. What part am I talking about? The part of speaking up, the part of accountability, and the part of risking to share my views. It shows me, and it does not negate agency. Let me just make that clear, because I still had to respond to that invitation. How did this part choose me? I have had an experience that most people do not have, an experience of being in the seminary in Nigeria for 14 years and being in a seminary here for 3 years. I was not there as preparing to be a priest, I was there as a lay student. So you see what I mean by it's talking about how my life journey has prepared me to authentically be involved in this conversation. It's not removing my agency, but I will tell you something. I'm a very spiritual person. I am deeply spiritual. I am not just I don't just live my life for living sake. So when I turned 30 last September, there was a burden in me. There was a burden. There was a burden. There was a burden to just speak. So if you go back to my first post in February, my first post in February of this year, when I opened this page, the reason for opening this page is to do theology in context, because obviously theology is a response, or is making sense of who God is in the day-to-day
A
experiences of
discourse,
human beings.
a discourse or a dialogue about God. That's theology.
Yes, yes, yes. And how I understand it and how I appreciate it is when I think about that discourse in the day-to-day living of human beings, to make sense of that discourse in the living, in the experiences of people. So that if somebody says anything, and if I have an accident, where is God when I had an accident, for instance? That's what my theology. That's how I make sense of theology. So um after that, I started the page. I was sharing my stories. There was no direct part that I knew of, but I was just responding to that yearning to start speaking. It was like, now this is the time. And when I was in NYSC, I had desired to do this, but there was no time and there was no resources for that. So yeah, that this part chose me speaks more to the idea of preparation. That is not even, I didn't go to school for it. It's just how my life experience has prepared me, and how my family has prepared me. Back home, if two people are fighting, they start looking for me. The reason is that once they get me and I was there, and I tell them how it happened, they will believe it, because they believe that I will not lie. So all of this is like how my life has prepared me for this. Your question is very valid. It looks like what I'm saying is that I just was predetermined to do this. No, I'm called for more. This is just a tip of what my life is meant for. So yes, the agency part needs to be also, the volume of agency needs to be increased, because I I responded to that call. And then the other part of persecution, yeah, how love. That's a very beautiful question, but I have a direct answer to that. And like I said, I'm a spiritual person. I want to be, or I aspire to be. So I aspire to be led by the values of my faith. And I usually share this with people. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they loved themselves, right? They loved themselves. They loved their life they had. But when it came to the point of death, even with love of self, they said, we know that our God is able to save us. And even if he does not save us, we will continue to honor him. That even if is a point where most of us are not able to get, you know. So, and so that is where my own sense of surrender around love comes from. Yeah, persecution, or like honestly, persecutions are so real in my personal life. Persecutions are so real. I come across them every day, and I love them. Do you know why? Because it's in adversity that our characters are made. In adversity that our life journey and process is refined. Without adversity, there is no growth, and without test there is no testimony. So I love to make, I love persecutions because sometimes it kind of affirms that you are on the right path, that you are on the path that you're called for, you know. Sometimes, not all the time, so don't go looking for trouble everywhere. Anyway, so the idea of persecutions and how
Okay.
yeah, go ahead,
I
that's what I
see.
needed to say.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Fortunatus. There's another question by Kenneth. Meanwhile, Paulinus, please go ahead and drop your questions. We will take it up from there. So there's a question from Kenneth Fidelis. What of someone who dropped out of the seminary because they are suspecting him to be what he is not due to what happened in the past, SS3 to be precisely?
Okay. My heater is on, and if you
Can you take
notice,
the
I'm
question
sweating.
again?
No, I got it. I said my heater is
Yeah.
on. If you notice,
Okay.
I'm beginning to sweat. Let me turn off my heater. Just 1 minute.
Okay.
All right. So, what of someone who dropped from seminary because they are suspecting him to be what he is not due to what happened in past SS3? Um, Now there are a lot of pieces in that I don't know. And Kenneth, I respect that question a lot. You know, what you just lifted is somebody's life that is a lot. There's a lot around that we don't know. We don't have a lot of information about that. Um, did this person drop on their own, or they were asked to drop, or they were expelled? You know, there's a difference between asking to drop and expel. Somebody can just tell you, "Oh, God, resign," because if you don't resign, I go pursue you, or somebody will just pursue you. So, what of someone who dropped out from the seminary because they are suspecting him to be what he is not due to what happened in the past? I honestly don't know how to respond to that. Francis, did you understand the question? Like, what's the context?
So I think the context I'm seeing here is okay. So there are allegations on the person, maybe due to something he has done. Let's say due to something he has done in the past, and as a
Yeah.
result of that allegation against him, there were a lot of eyes on him in the seminary. As a result,
Mm-hmm.
because of the pressure, he had to drop
Mm-hmm.
out, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So for me, I see it two ways. I see it two ways. I see this question two ways, right? And I will
Mm-hmm.
just share my thoughts. Maybe if you have anything to add, you can add. So what of
Okay.
someone who dropped out of from the seminar because they are suspecting him to be what he is not due to what happened in the past? So let's say in the past you were involved in a case of theft, or you were involved in a case of molestation, and then you came into the senior seminar, you came into the major seminary and you are trying to correct that aspect of you, and then people start talking about it, and as a result
Yeah.
you feel pressured and you drop out of the seminary, right?
Mm.
So I feel if you take that such a rash decision, then you are trying to justify their suspicion, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, this is what they are saying. So in cases
Yeah.
of adversities, in cases where there are criticism, where there are challenges, the onus lies on you to prove people wrong by doing the right thing,
Mm.
right? By telling them that, okay, you have this impression about me, but I am not this person,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think one thing that they say is constant is change.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are priests today, they were not the best sets of humans when they were in the seminary. Some were
Yeah.
chronic, some were people who were kleptomaniac. They will
Mm-hmm.
just, once they pass your thing, they touch you, something will follow them, right? Some
Yeah.
people were like that. Some had different types of attitudes, but today they've turned out to be one of the finest kind of priests. Or what
Yeah.
of situations whereby we see people who have served in a babalawos, or in a traditional priest's shrine,
Mm-hmm.
and today they've turned out to be one of the finest priests. And
Yeah.
today they've turned out to be one of the finest priests or one of the finest clergies. So people will always have their impressions. People will always have their suspicions about you, but the onus lies on you to prove them wrong through the guidance,
Mm-hmm.
through the divine guidance, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
requires prayer. And I remember during my session, I mentioned something that from the moment you step your foot into the seminary, you are up against principalities and powers, meaning you need to
Mm-hmm.
be steadfast in prayer. You need to be spiritually grounded. Otherwise, the forces that will be coming for you and against you will be more than what you can imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
this is the way I look at it. And you've just like submitted yourself into the pressures or into the
Yeah.
cravings of the society. Or let me use Fortunatus as an example. Since Fortunatus started the Son of Big God page, he has received loads, series of criticisms, persecutions, but has have those have those things stopped him? No. The moment I will see him as a failure is the point whereby, because as a result of those persecutions, as a result of those comments, he says, I'm not going to do it again.
Mm.
And that was why I asked him the question, is he angry? He said no, but because he feels he has not done anything wrong or he's not doing anything wrong, rather he's giving people voices. That is why he still do what he's still doing what he's doing, right? And
Yeah,
he added a caveat that the only thing he's concerned about is safety of his parents or for his parents and not for himself because he knows one day he will leave this place called
yeah,
Earth, right?
yeah, yeah. Wow,
This is just the
your
way
answers.
I see that question, right? This is just the way
Yeah,
I, or this is the best way I can address it. There might be other better ways the question can
no,
be approached, but this is
no,
what
no. There's
I say about it, and I hope your question is has been answered, Kenneth. I don't know if Fortunatus want to add something.
just to remind him of the thing that happens in the seminary most times.
Fortune,
Yeah, I say just to remind him of something that usually happens in seminaries. Once you come in, friends will give you a name. Usually names that you don't like, and the more you get angry with that name, the more it becomes your name till the end of your seminary journey. But the more you ignore that name, the more people find that it doesn't resonate with you and they leave you alone. So I was called Oroma because of my small mouth by Enema Fidelis and Mama Malaki, my classmates. But I ignored them because I kind of learned that very fast in the junior seminary. If they give you a bad name or a nickname you don't like, if you continue to like defend it or to get angry at it, you have got a name until you become father. That's how your name will be. But the moment you ignore that name and keep living, they get tired. They see that it doesn't really touch you. So, Kenneth says you answered this question, so I'm glad you did. Yeah, Kenneth, the point is, like Francis said, is to remain on course because people will misunderstand you. And if you do not remain on course, then you give them the reason to believe that they were actually right. Thank you, Francis. Hello, Francis. We lost Francis. Um, Let me answer Paulinus Ongumere's question. Paulinus, you said, is it logical to
I lost
conclude?
you. I lost you for a moment.
I'm back. I'm
My
here. I'm
network
here. Can
went
you hear
bad
me?
for a moment.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello, can anybody
Yes, I can hear you,
hear me?
Francis.
Network went
Yes,
bad for a moment.
I
Can
can
anybody
hear
hear me?
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
So, but I hope we were able to address the next question. Okay,
Yes, he
he has
said thank you.
commented it.
Yes, he said thank you. So, what about Paulinus' question?
So, just can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Francis.
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Oh, we lost Francis. I hope he comes back. So, Paulinus, you are asking, is it logical to conclude that if you see vision or have the potentials for accurate predictions? Okay, Francis is back. Let me just add him. Francis, over to you. Paulinus' question.
Okay, Pauline said, is it logical to conclude that if you see vision or have the potential for accurate prediction, it is an index of a call from call? So people have gifts, right? People have gifts, and if you start noticing some kind of trends in your life or in people's life, pray about it and
Mm,
maybe seek superior guidance, right? Because I know there's what is called epistemic guess and there's what is called epistemic luck, in the sense that
mm.
I can guess that okay, Man U is going to win Everton 4-0, and it
Like
happens
they
that
want today.
Man U actually won Everton 4-0. That's an epistemic guess. It's not because
Yeah.
I have seen them play the football, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
some people will call it power of abstraction, right? Maybe because
Yeah.
okay, you've seen a pattern and you've seen that okay, they are playing in this way, and if they continue playing this way, they are going to win this team. Or you've seen a certain kind of form in the team, and you say okay, because of this form I'm seeing, and these people are going to win. So you've done your permutation and combination, and you are predicting, and you are predicting correctly. So that's an epistemic guess. Or for instance, I would be like, okay, I will run into Fortunatus today, and he's going to send me some money. And paraventurally, I ran into Fortunatus, and he dipped some money into my hand. That's an epistemic clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not because
Mm-hmm.
I saw Fortunatus in my dream giving me money. But if you notice some trend, pray about it, and you see if it's a gift that needs to be harnessed.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
don't know,
Let me add
Paulinus, does
something.
that help?
Let me add something to
Fortunatus, go
that.
ahead,
Why we
please.
would Yes, let me add something to that. Um, so as Christians, we have a call from God just by being Christians. The call is to be holy. So our call is to be holy. And I'm just adding to Francis's comment. So being able to see visions is not needed for either vocation, like priesthood or married life. That is not the assignment of a priest, neither is it the assignment of a married man. The problem is that in Nigeria, context, let us go back to context. The problem is that in Nigeria, once you are in a certain way, they say you have a call from God. Like, what nonsense. Like, because you are able to talk, you are able to quote Bible, you're able to pray in a certain way, you're able to just command some aura. No, when I saw you, I know you have a call from God. What nonsense? What do you mean? Everybody has a call from God. Our call is to be holy. But I think what they are saying is that you look like a pastor, or you look like what pastors look like, or you talk like what priests talk like. You don't need to see visions to be a priest if you're a Catholic. You don't need to see visions to be a pastor. All you need is to be striving towards holiness and to live your life in ways that manifest witness to the gospel of Christ Jesus. That is what you need to be either priest or pastor. Already you have a call, and that call is to be holy. And
And
however
it's
you
called to
choose
serve.
to, yes, and it's called to serve.
It's called to serve,
And
yes.
yes, and however you respond to that call will be based on what is most meaningful to you, what gives you peace, what gives you fulfillment. Yeah, thank you, Paulinus.
I remember. Let me just share a quick story. I remember when I used to be in the seminary. I remember there was a time. Was it my mom was like, "Hey, look at this priest. This priest is fire," and and she wishes I would be that kind of fire. I told my mom clearly. I was like, "See, people have their different gifts. Huh? For the fact that a priest is here kabashing, shouting Mr. Bichichichichi Toyota Tata Takai na 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 Jiggy scandal, Urugu scandal, and all the scandals you can imagine in the world does not mean I should be like that priest. I have my specific gift and I know what God maybe wants of me. Right? That the idea of this thing is not even about doing all this brouhaha, right? All
Yeah.
those it's not about doing all those things, but doing as in like Fortunatus said, being holy, right? Doing the right thing at the right time, serving the people you've been called to serve. Because your first assignment as a priest is to serve. Meaning you can be sleeping 12 a.m. They will wake you, please. I need communion service. Someone is dying. You should stand up and go to that point and administer that service. That is your
Mm.
first or primary duty, not to be kabashing. Then they will call you, you will kabash all the kabash, then they will call you for communion service and you say no, you will not attend to that. Or after kabashing during the day, in the night, you become a hooligan,
Yeah.
right?
Francis, talk waiting in your
Fortunate,
mind.
fortunate to stop this thing now. So that just stop this. So that just no. This is just being me. if you know me, I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to paint things. I might try to be very diplomatic, but I don't know how to paint things. I will tell you what I should tell you, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I gave my mom that response, and since then she saw it in a different light. She understood it in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I later on, years later, after I left the seminary, I remember my sister told me, my elder sister told me something. I'm sharing this so you will see some of these things, right? Not because you see people act in certain ways, then you must be that. My
Mm-hmm.
sister was telling me that for something she has noticed about me, she sees that I fear God, and um,
Mm-hmm.
I pray that I might not be the one that will come and stand in the midst of people and be shouting all the whole speaking in tongue, kabashing and the rest, but she sees that I respect God, I fear God, and I also take my spiritual life um, serious. And that was something I've been always wanting them to understand. That
Mm-hmm.
so the fact that someone is very expressive when the person is praying does not mean the person who kneels down only say, God, I don't know how to pray. Oh, this is the only thing I can say. Does not mean that person is not praying. In short, if you even go back to the scripture, you will see a very typical example of that sinner who knelt down that have mercy on me, Lord, for I am a sinner. And the other one was kabashing, God, you know I am not like the sinner who is kneeling down beside me. Right? At the end, whose prayer was answered? The humble
Yeah.
guy, right? So
Yeah.
back to Paulinus. Um, like I said, you have to understand, discern what God wants of you. If you start noticing something, um, while taking it serious, pray to God to assist you, to direct you. Otherwise, you might take a lot of hasty decisions, or you might commit the fallacy of hasty generalization and make some mistakes. But when you
Mm.
see something, certain things, yes, harness it and pray to God to direct you.
Mm.
I remember,
Uh,
I remember a time when I remember a time when I was told that what will philosophy bring to the table. I was told that what will philosophy bring to the table. It never deterred me from chasing or from studying my philosophy.
yeah. Yeah. Francis, are you there?
I studied the philosophy, and today I can proudly beat my chest and tell you that that philosophy shaped the person I am today. It helped me
Mm.
to connect a lot of things with the current work I'm doing. And it helped me to
Francis is frozen. I was actually going to tell him that I need to run because I need to go for mass. It is still about 9:32 a.m. here. Hi, Francis.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, is it okay for us to round up now? I need to run because
Yeah,
I
sure.
need to.
I was even going to round up, right? And
Yeah.
this is the point I will ask you to share that thing that was in your mind you were expecting me to ask. That is, if I have not asked the question. And this is the point whereby you get to share that and also give a final word
Mm,
to your listeners, to your viewers, to your fans and your followers.
mm.
So
Uh,
over to you.
yeah, you asked the thing I was expecting you to ask me. It was about criticism. So you asked. um,
Seriously?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I asked if I asked you, then I think I deserve a giveaway for that.
Yes, you get a giveaway. No worries. I'm actually going to conclude the other giveaway. So, yeah, you get a giveaway. I have your account number now. Make it public.
If
You
I
get a
did
giveaway.
ask, sorry, if I did ask that question, then I think I deserve a giveaway for that. Although it wasn't as if I knew it's just an epistemic guess, right? Because
Yes.
I was just asking questions based on the
Fra-
prompts, based on the
Francis,
responses
Francis, you
he gave.
deserve a
So I was just
giveaway.
asking my questions, not because I did not prepare. I did not prepare. So it's on the flip side. I wasn't serious about the giveaway. So I was just
No, no, no,
like
no.
saying that
I,
I didn't prepare for that question, right? I didn't prepare for
mm,
that question. I was just in short, I didn't even take any notes. If you notice
yes.
the way the flow was, it's from our conversations that I was speaking from whatever you say, and I draw my next questions or my next sets of questions from there, right? So I didn't
Yeah.
actually come here preparing any equation. In short, my
Mm-hmm.
conversation initially was with Charles, but
Yeah.
when you told me that I would be asking you some questions, I was like, okay, let me just freestyle. So that is
Yeah.
an epistemic guess. So if I got that, it was an epistemic guess. Okay, so
All
this
right.
is the question, the last question. So for everybody before we close, the last question for everybody before for you to everybody before we close is, what would you have to say about post seminary follow up and offering support to ex seminarians? Like you
Mm-hmm.
already mentioned that in your own case you were supported, but you think it's the same for everyone who has left the seminary?
Mm-mm. Thank you.
What are your final comments about post seminary support and
Support.
follow ups by formators and maybe the community as a whole?
Mm-hmm. That is something I feel terrible about, and I can tell you. So here in the US, we have a group of people who went to Schoenstatt, who Schoenstatt supported like me. I don't know how to speak on the general. I just go all in. I go specific. And one time I hear that Schoenstatt has stopped giving the kind of support they give to some of us. They I hear they have their reasons. Some people try to abuse that. Some people came with entitlement mindset that it is their right, it is their due. I felt terrible. I told Felix and I told Justice Ibokwe, this is so annoying. Like, this is so annoying. I almost wanted to withdraw any form of support that I was giving to the community. Um but I did not. I just named that, and I didn't stop there. I had to call the vice rector and ask what is going on. Like, why are you people stopping this? Like, what does it take to do this? And this is really something that will set people on the path of lifetime success. Is it not sabotaging people's success? So it was the vice rector that gave me the pieces I got about people coming with entitlement, about people um abusing it or whatever. So I hear that and I want to hold those together, but I still want to make it clear that this is still the human factor. I mean, if you give it to Mr. A, why not give it to Mr. B? If you support Mr. A, why not support Mr. B? So the reasons about, oh, we don't know how they have been doing, they left 5 years ago, they did not contact us, we don't know where they are. Fine. Did you contact them? Are they still not connected with you in one way or the other? So it's still the oppressive thing, and I'm saying this because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt those who are involved. You are still being an oppressor. They did not contact you. Did you contact them? Don't you have a bond with them? As somebody who have formed, are you not called to journey with them? So you victimize them for not contacting you, but you don't share that blame that you didn't contact them. What if you were the one that needed their help? What if they became the governor of the state? When you approach them, will you remember that you did not contact them? Will he tell you that you did not contact them? So it's just about the oppressive mindset, and people trying to defend. And we all studied philosophy, so we can defend anything, virtually anything. Let me step back from that. So my point is, if we support Mr. A, ex-seminarian, let's support Mr. B. If Mr. B does not show enough appreciation or comes with entitlement, let's let him know that, man, we're not giving you this because it is not your due. Or let's have a conversation with the person. So this is human dynamics. It's very difficult to just have one way that will solve the problem. But I want to honor, I want to validate the fact that it is not fair, it is not just, it's not the best to do for Mr. A what you don't do for Mr. B. Every ex seminarian should be supported by their seminaries. This is very idealistic, I know. But if we really want to follow the gospel, I don't see any other way.
So
Even the one,
in other words, what is good? Sorry, in other words, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander, right?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
there should be a space or a place for ongoing support or follow up. No ex-seminarian should be left behind, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this call. And before we draw the curtain, Fortunatus, do you have any final words for the people of the society gathered in this room to share this space with us?
I just want to thank you, Francis, in a very, very, very wonderful way. That this was so impromptu, and you have held the space professionally, and I didn't expect less. That's why I can call you last minute to do this kind of thing, because I know you and I know the stuff you're made of. So thank you for holding this space. Thank you for anchoring this session and for the questions and for engaging all of us with your questions. I want to also thank all our viewers, all our friends, those who are watching this live, and those who will watch it later. Nigeria is hard now, and I just don't know how anybody can solve Nigerian problem right now. Um, when we talk about the church, the Catholic Church, who is the right person to ask the right questions? Is it priests who are still not sure of their next posting? Is it catechists who is paid by the priests? Is it ex seminarians who have studied the faith, who have lived the life, who love the church, and who have nothing to lose? I think, honestly and respectfully speaking, this office belongs to us. Not every ex seminarian, especially because there are some ex seminarians who are still hurting, who are still like bitter, and who will do anything but um, uplifting. So they will just want to destroy and damage. Those ones need time to heal, and we value their stories and we honor their stories. But for those who think they have come to a place of healing and they want to offer some constructive criticism to our church, I think that office genuinely belongs to them and they are taking it. We'll run with it. We set the ball running and
All
then we
right,
run
all
with it.
right. All right, thank you so much, Fortunato. So just before I drop off my microphone, and two things, two tasks for us. First, Fortunato, you will tell me that question you wanted me to ask that I got correctly, and then for everyone in this room, please just take some moments and drop in the comment section what you think about criticism or about the place of criticism in shaping the church and the formation system and the society as a whole. Please just take some minutes and drop your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you asked the question. It's here. It's criticism. Yeah, it's
Great.
criticism because that's basically what I do, and you placed a finger on it. You nailed it. Yeah, it's criticism.
And I'm asking that question, I'm throwing that question to everyone listening to us, watching us, who are here. Please drop your thoughts on what you think the role of criticism is in shaping the church, the formation system, and the society as a whole. Your
Actually, I'm
thoughts
going to I'm going to
might
make a post on that.
help
On that.
someone out there. Your thoughts will be very useful to someone out there. Please take a moment and share your thoughts. And with this, I believe we've come to the end of this session. We are so sorry that the one of the main reasons why we came in here this evening, which is to follow up or to round up with Charles, we couldn't do that due to network challenges, something we cannot control, something beyond our control. But then we want to take a moment to thank you all for holding on, for staying with us, and for walking through this session with us, and for your comments, for your amazing, beautiful, sweet comments. We love you, and we are saying thank you to you all.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you, Francis. All right.